What's going on, everybody? This is Matt and Greg with Project Unbroken. Hit that subscribe button and please share this video. Greg and I are trying to share our experiences about drug addiction and lessons we learned along the way in hopes to help other people out there dealing with the same thing. We've been getting a lot of feedback about one of our videos where Greg talks about what he found to be most important in his recovery. And Greg mentioned that the biggest thing for him was separating himself from kind of the people he was hanging around with, anybody basically that was in his life related to his drug addiction. So people have been kind of asking, my brother and I both use, I want to quit, my brother doesn't want to quit, or all my friends use, or people at my job use, so it's really hard for me to get away from this. And I think we want to dive a little bit deeper into this topic to explain the importance of removing yourself from that situation completely. I think a lot of people out there may be taking this a little bit lightly, when in fact it is 100% a life or death situation. So, Greg, what were your kind of first steps into removing yourself from those situations? Like, how did you initiate that break?
I just broke. I think a lot of times we might feel bad, when you kind of break off something where you've been bonding with someone so long, and drug addicts, they really have a deep bond because you're in this misery together, right? So sometimes it's hard to cut those people off, especially if it's family or whatever, but you really seem to bond with other addicts. So I just had to cut everyone, right? And it's like, really, I started from scratch. Like, I had to rebuild my life. I had no one in my life besides family. I had to totally rebuild. So one of the reasons I know this is so important is because of what I've built today. So when I came into this gym, we're shooting in a gym right now at Matt's Wheelhouse gym, his CrossFit gym. When I came in here, I didn't really know anyone besides Matt. We hadn't seen each other in a while, and I had to totally rebuild. Okay, and I came in, I saw all these positive faces and people were happy and smiling and in shape, and I was looking around like, shit, man, like, this is what I want. Like, I want to be happy like this. Like, I want to look good and feel good. So I started building towards that. And now I'm in a place where I have all positive people around me. People who like to work out and eat right and do positive things. Well, guess what? If I even thought about if I went to Matt and I was like, Matt, let's do some heroin, he'd be like, dude, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are you thinking? Because I'm putting his recovery at jeopardy. He has a kid, he has a business, he has positive things going on in his life. If he has anyone around him that is using drugs, it highly increases his chance of starting to use again. If he knows I'm there and I'm close to him and I slipped and I'm using, well, he could be having a bad day and be like, all right, yeah, just this one time. He could trick himself again, right? And he can fall right back into it. So this whole experience has taught me the importance of how important it is to have positive people around you. Because I don't want to use, but even if I did to, I know that everyone that's around me, if I even brought up that idea, they'd be like, dude, bounce. Like, you got to go, So the bonds I've created now are kind of helping me stay sober because I know it's not an option even further beyond whether I want to do it or not.
Yeah, I think something really important that Greg is talking about here, it goes back to the beginning of just starting over completely. You really, you're starting, you have a new life now. You can't even really interact with any of the people that you were using with or that were kind of in those circles of, drug use or drug addiction, because they do pose such a threat to driving you back into your old habits. And it's not that they're bad people or anything like that at all. It's and when Greg and I were using together, like, Greg was my best friend. I knew he wasn't a bad person, but I also knew at the same time I was never going to find recovery if I kept hanging out with him or our group of friends at the time. And I did the same thing. I started over. I started putting myself in situations where I'd be surrounded by people that were healthy, successful, and living in a positive way. And when you start building that community around yourself, you don't want anything to threaten that. And using heroin is the number one thing that would bring that house down immediately. And now Greg and I are both in a place where we've started with a blank slate essentially and put only positive people in our lives. And if heroin were to ever come back into that picture, immediately they would be like, what are you heroin? What are you talking about? So it makes it, A, it's not an option. B, it's never a topic of discussion. People would just be, it would be so alien to them, they wouldn't know where to start with it, which I think for the success that Greg and I have had in all areas of our life, that's hugely important. It's just no longer a topic of discussion in any way, shape, or form. And no, it's not easy at all. Some people that you might have to break ties with could be your best friend, it could be your brother, it could be a family member, you know, anything like that. But you're not doing you or that person or that group of friends any favors by staying together and continuing that kind of downward spiral of drug addiction.
And really, you're going to have to break those connections. You know, when you're using, your closest bonds are the other people that use. You know, that's who's closest to you in your life at that point. So anyone who wants to get sober, you have to break off who currently is closest to you, which is whoever you're using with. It has to be done. That's it. Okay. So it's hard for all of us. Maybe hard for others where it's family members and stuff, but it has to be done. Okay. Because again, if I had even one person in my life that I know is using heroin, it would almost be an option. You know, I know that the option's there. Although I don't like the option, it's not even a thought right now. Well, what if I have a bad day and I know the option's there and I take that option? I'm not taking that out. I'm not taking that chance. You know, so I just think you can have no one around you that is using or any type of negative behavior like that.
No, I agree. And you know, you hear the phrase that you are the average of the 5 people that you spend the most time around. There's a really big difference between spending your time around people that are kind of stuck in a drug addiction and, you know, whatever behavior that you were doing in the past, or maybe people that are leading healthier lifestyles. You know, they have successful relationships, they're financially, you know, doing okay, they're happy, they're healthy, etc. Those two worlds are completely different, and spending time in the more positive one is going to bring you a lot further, a lot faster than you think. If you stay in that old group, you're essentially you're not going to be able to get out of it ever. Like, it's literally impossible.
Yeah, definitely. So make sure you cut them ties. Not an easy decision for anyone, but it's got to be done. Okay, create positive groups of people around you, and it becomes not even an option. You know, it really does. I think it is definitely the biggest thing for me that has helped me stay sober.
Yeah. All right, guys, thank you for watching. If you have any questions or topics that you'd like us to dive into a little bit further, leave a comment, hit us up on the contact section at our website, projectunbroken.com, and we look forward to talking to you soon.